He told me to step away from my own car like I was some kind of criminal. He blocked the exit before he even said hello. And the craziest part is, if I hadn't known my rights that morning, I probably would have left in handcuffs with a record I didn't deserve. It was a Saturday, clear sky, warm sun, the kind of morning that makes you slow down without even realizing it. I was at the self-serve car wash I've been using for years just outside town, drying off my 1969 Mustang Mach 1, black paint, chrome, shining engine that still rumbles like it's got something to prove. Washing that car is therapy for me. After 30 years in the Marine Corps, 2 wars and more funerals than I care to count, a quiet morning with soap and water feels like a gift. I had my gray t-shirt on, old jeans, boots polished out of habit, and I was taking my time folding the microfiber towel just right, watching the water bead off the hood. That's when I noticed the patrol cruiser roll in behind me. He didn't park like someone stopping to ask a question. He angled his car to block the bay, cutting off the exit. That's a power move. You don't do that by accident. I saw it in my peripheral vision, but I didn't turn right away. You learn not to react too fast. Finish what you're doing. Stay calm. I set the towel down, then faced him. Young officer, maybe late 20s, sunglasses hiding his eyes, jaw tight, hand hovering near his belt like he was already expecting trouble. He didn't introduce himself, didn't ask how I was doing, just barked, "Step away from the vehicle and give me your ID." No context, no reason, just a command. I kept my hands visible, relaxed at my sides. "Officer," I said evenly, "am I being detained or am I free to go?" That question hit him harder than I expected. "You're being detained for obstruction. Hands on the car." Obstruction. For standing next to my own vehicle on private property. I almost smiled, not because it was funny, but because it was so predictable. Obstruction of what I asked. Refusing a lawful order. "Refusing an unlawful order isn't obstruction," I replied, calm as I could make it. You could see it in his body language. He wasn't used to pushback, especially not polite pushback. He stepped closer, closing the space between us. "Don't get smart with me. I've had men point rifles at me in Fallujah and Kandahar. A raised voice in a car wash bay doesn't rattle me." "Is there a specific crime you believe I've committed?" I asked. He said there had been reports of narcotics activity in the area, said I fit the description. I looked around at the empty bays, the humming vacuum down the row, the smell of soap and hot concrete. What description would that be? He hesitated just a second. "Male. Suspicious behavior." "Suspicious behavior like washing my car?" I asked. His tone hardened. "Turn around and put your hands on the vehicle." That's when I knew this wasn't about a report. This was about authority. I told him calmly that for a Terry stop to be lawful, he needed reasonable, articulable suspicion that I'd committed, was committing, or was about to commit a crime. I told him washing a car at a car wash didn't meet that standard. He sneered and asked if I was a lawyer. "No," I said, "I'm a citizen who knows his rights." That's when the temperature dropped. You could feel it. "You're detained," he snapped again. "For obstruction." I kept my voice steady. "State the crime." He didn't. Instead, he moved in closer, and I could feel his frustration building. I told him I was going to reach for my towel to finish drying the hood. I said it slowly, clearly, hands visible. I'm reaching for a yellow microfiber towel, and that's when he shouted. He's reaching like he needed the camera on his chest to believe him. The taser came out fast, pointed at my chest. "Get on the ground now." A woman 2 bays over stopped vacuuming and started recording. A teenager on the sidewalk pulled out his phone. I froze, hands open. "I am not resisting," I said. I meant it. But he holstered the taser and went hands on anyway. Grabbed my left wrist and twisted it behind my back so hard I saw white. That shoulder had been reconstructed after an IED blast years ago. The torque sent a bolt of pain up my neck. I felt something tear. "Stop resisting," he yelled. "I'm not resisting," I gritted out. "You're injuring a combat wound." He slammed me against the Mustang's hood. My cheek pressed against the paint I'd just polished. The humiliation burned worse than the pain. The cuffs clicked shut, sharp metallic final. I could hear the woman yelling. He was just washing his car. The officer shouted back at everyone to back up. He patted me down, pulled my wallet from my pocket, but didn't even look at it. "You're under arrest for resisting and disorderly conduct." There hadn't even been an arrest to resist. He marched over to my car and opened the door. "I do not consent to a search," I said clearly, loud enough for the phones to pick it up. He tore through the interior like he was digging for treasure. Floor mats up. Under the seats, nothing. The car was spotless. Then he opened the glove box. Inside was my registration insurance and a small leather case. He opened it. My Purple Heart sat there on velvet. Next to it, my retired Marine ID, a folded American flag from a memorial service. He stared at it for a second, and I swear something shifted in his posture. But pride is a powerful thing. He tossed the case back in the compartment like it was nothing. Then he found my legally owned firearm secured and registered. He ran it through dispatch. Clean, permit valid, no warrants. Then dispatch paused. They flagged my name in the system. Retired military high command. Advise extreme professional courtesy, they said. They asked if I was detained. He hesitated. For a moment I thought he might let it go. Might swallow his ego and fix it right there. Instead, he said he was transporting me to the station. That ride was quiet. I sat in the back of that cruiser, wrists burning, shoulder throbbing, staring at the cage between us. I wasn't scared. I was disappointed. Disappointed that after decades of service, after bleeding for the country, I was being treated like a suspect because I asked a question. You know what I mean? At the station, everything changed. The desk sergeant looked up as we walked in. Older guy, mustache, eyes that had seen things. He looked at me for a long second. "Colonel Thorne," he said quietly. I nodded. The young officer stiffened. The sergeant's expression went from confusion to fury in about half a second. "Take those cuffs off. Now." The officer tried to argue. The sergeant cut him off. "Now." The cuffs came off. My wrists were raw skin broken. I rolled my shoulder and felt that sickening pop again. The captain came out of his office all polite smiles. Called it a misunderstanding. I told him it wasn't. I told him his officer had unlawfully detained me, used excessive force, and conducted an illegal search. I demanded preservation of all video evidence, Bodycam, dash cam, everything. I filed a formal complaint. I refused a ride back in one of their vehicles. I didn't feel safe. By the time I got home, the bystander video was already online. The title read something like, "Veteran Arrested for Washing Car." It spread fast. When the Bodycam footage was released, it showed everything. The commands, the escalation, the moment he held my medal and tossed it aside. That moment hit people hard. Veterans groups, civil rights organizations, even folks who just love classic cars spoke up. Internal Affairs launched an investigation. They found a pattern. Stops that skewed one-way, vague notes, repeated complaints. 6 months later, the city settled for $1.5 million. I needed surgery to repair the torn rotator cuff from that arrest. I can't lift my left arm the same way anymore. The officer was fired. Certification revoked. His name became shorthand in training rooms for what not to do. At the press conference, they asked what I'd do with the money. I told them I didn't need it. My pension was fine. I donated it to the Wounded Warrior Project and to a legal defense fund for veterans facing police misconduct. Because here's the truth. I had the knowledge, the rank, the resources to fight back. A lot of people don't. A year later, I went back to that same car wash. Same bay, same Mustang. My shoulders stiff but steady. A patrol car rolled in. For a second, my chest tightened. The young officer inside slowed down, looked at me, looked at the car, then gave a small nod and drove on. No commands, no tension, just acknowledgement. I finished drying the roof with my yellow towel, standing on a small step stool because my arm doesn't reach like it used to. I won that battle. But it shouldn't take a viral video and a lawsuit to remind someone that rights matter. So let me ask you this. Was that officer just a bad apple, or was he trained to value compliance over the Constitution? If you were in my shoes, would you have kept your cool, or would you have reacted differently? Drop your thoughts below. Share your story if you've lived something like this, because the only way this changes is if we talk about it openly and honestly. Stay safe. Know your rights, and don't let anyone convince you that asking a question is a crime. I'll see you in the comments.